Hello everybody, I'm Mandy Mod and welcome back to another video on my channel. This time I'm starting a brand new series, which I'm really excited about actually. As you can probably tell here, I have decided to create a world in The Sims using the Create a World tool. So I've never made a world before. I think I've opened this program once before, like a long time ago, and then promptly closed it again, never to see it again. But I was pretty green back then, and this time I really got kind of inspired, and since I've started working on it, it's been going really well, and I really actually think I can do it. So that's also why this video is starting at a significantly advanced point in time on this world. Because yes, I started it because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to actually do anything, if I was going to actually be able to finish, or if I was going to have technical difficulties or something that were extreme. So I opened it up and just started playing around and then started testing a bunch of different things at once, until at one point I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally working. I could definitely make a video series out of this. So yes, that's why this world is already not built completely. There's still quite a bit of sculpting left to do at this point, but there's a main section of this world is already sculpted, and as you can tell, I'm terrain painting at the moment. So the actual content of the video footage for this first episode is going to be a little bit boring, I think. It's mostly just sculpting and painting. Well, no, it's literally all sculpting and painting. Yeah, I don't spend time putting down lots or trees or anything in this episode. I have already put down some. You can tell that I've put down a couple lots and one single road, because those were my testing roads to see if like I said, if I could do it, if things were going to work or completely fail for me. So luckily it was all good. So that one patch of trees there in the middle of the mountain, that's all there is at the moment. But otherwise, the rest of this video, besides just watching me sculpt and paint, is going to be kind of an introduction to this world and some of the background maybe of what I plan to do with it. Because I'm really excited for this world, guys. I think it's going to be really cool. So personally for me, of course. So to be super duper original, I know, I'm making an island. Because everybody seems to make islands as their first create a world. It's mostly just because that ocean is surrounding, and it's much easier to create a standalone thing in the middle of the ocean than trying to create some kind of backdrop and controlling the camera and stuff where the camera can't go to the edge of the world, because you don't want to see the clipping at the edge after the mountain's end or something. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing an island. But however, unlike other islands that I've seen other simmers do, I think this is going to be kind of unique. Mostly because this is a tropical island and it's meant to be like a deserted island. So to kind of explain it a little bit, I guess, or give you some of the background history of this idea. I love playing The Sims in a certain way. I think everybody has their own kind of niche. It's where, if you just open up The Sims for fun and you're just going to sit down and play, a lot of times, even though we end up trying new things, we always kind of end up falling back on that one play style that we really just enjoy. So whether that's, doing legacy things for yourself or just making the most amount of money and using cheats galore because you just have fun with it better with all the money. There's just several different ways to play The Sims. For me, I love making my Sims or having a single little Sim in the middle of nowhere and then having them live off the land, growing crops and fishing and stuff, and have to survive. It's I don't know why, but that's just the way I always fall back on. And because of that, I really, really love island challenges and castaway challenges because I think they're really fun for me. I have a lot of enjoyment, and I've made quite long playthroughs of just different Sim families who are living alone on islands, on other island worlds and stuff. The big problem, however, is that it doesn't quite encompass everything. There's no room for a logical story progression in that way. For instance, one of the most famous island challenges, I think it's made for The Sims 4 actually, and I actually just adapted it for myself to play on The Sims 3 a bit. But the point of that challenge is to end up with 8 full-grown Sims who can survive and have a certain amount of skill sets. But if you're only starting out with 1 or 2 Sims, the only way to get more Sims is either to have babies, in which case you would have to start off with 2 Sims instead of 1, or you'd have to rely on a kind of chance pull that's part of the challenge and have a Sim wash ashore to join your already castaway Sim. So I don't know. I just always thought that was kind of illogical, like, or just I don't know if illogical is the right word, or impractical or something. But like, if your sim is in a shipwreck or a plane crash or something, and they wash up here, what are the chances that are like six other survivors are going to wash up on the same island at later points in time, unless it's like Lost or something, right? Um, so because of that, I always like to try to imagine like different ways for Sims to meet other Sims in order to, reach that kind of criteria to make a bigger family, make a legacy. And the two biggest ways that I've always done that is by giving them either there's like a native people who live on the island for my Sim to run into. They can't be civilized, of course, because otherwise it wouldn't be a castaway challenge. They would get help and fly home probably, and maybe even mermaids who live in the seas around the island, because Island Paradise is a wonderful expansion pack. Um, so yes, because of that, I'm going to make this world exactly for that kind of playthrough. So this island is obviously a volcanic island. You've already seen some shots of the volcano, which I've already made with a couple custom terrain paints and everything, which you don't have to worry about having custom content for that. That's just normal. It comes with the world if you install it, the terrain paints, I believe. Anyway, but yes, so there's a big volcano in the middle of this island. I'm basing this off of like kind of a Pacific tropical island, like Polynesia or Tahiti or Hawaii, like one of those kind of things. There's not going to be a specific culture here. It's going to be kind of a mishmash of islander culture and like kind of vague understanding. Because I mean, I don't know intricacies about island culture. I just know kind of as general knowledge that everybody knows. So don't expect this to be like a really hardcore Hawaiian themed build or something like that. No, this is just going to be kind of a generalistic kind of movie-esque island in the middle of nowhere with its own native people. So yeah, so that's what this whole island is based off of. There's going to be a native people who live in the center. There's not going to be, I think, any rabbit holes at this point, because I don't want civilization. And even if I use rabbit hole rugs and stuff, I don't want, like, if you're having a castaway challenge and you have kids, I don't want the Sims to be able to go to school. I want them to be able to live at home, surviving on the island the way they're supposed to for that kind of challenge. So there should not be any rabbit holes by the time I'm done with this. The only two expansion packs that I can say with, no, three actually, two sort of, I guess the third one doesn't count as much, that I would say that you're going to absolutely need are World Adventures and Island Paradise. So Island Paradise is kind of obvious. I mean, this is an island and a very tropical island, and I just mentioned I want to put mermaids, and I also really, really want to put dive lots everywhere. So because of that, Island Paradise, I'm going to say you're going to really want to get the aesthetic and the working of this island correct. And World Adventures, I say you have one because I tend to use a lot of objects from that when I'm building, when I'm decorating lots and stuff. I use just a lot of I use a lot of World Adventures stuff. And also, I plan on having a series of tombs throughout this island. So tombs that are like ancient, the ancestors of the islanders, things like that. And the tombs are going to be pretty cool. I like building tombs. I've built one really extensive one on my channel before. If you want to check that out, it's actually Skull Rock from Peter Pan. And that one turned out really cool. I'm really proud of how that whole tomb turned out, and I would be excited to make more tombs for The Sims. So yes, so because of those two reasons, I would say that you definitely want to have World Adventures and Island Paradise. The only other one that might be a contender would be Supernatural, because I do tend to use stuff from there as well. And my native peoples who live in the tribal island, or the tribal village on this island, I plan on having like a shawoman or shaman's hut. So there are going to be like magic Sims, not in the traditional witch and wizard sense, but more like, the witch doctor kind of sense. So that would be the only real reason I could imagine that you'd actually need Supernatural. But otherwise, I mean, if other expansion packs get mixed into the lot, I mean, I'm not sure if I can really help that. I'm sorry, but I don't know if there's much else I can do about that, sometimes you use a tree and you don't realize it, and it's like, oops, I didn't realize. I mean, if you see me use something that's definitely from an expansion pack and I have no idea, tell me by all means. Um, but otherwise, that's the general like statistics of what this island world is going to be. There's going to be the tribal people. I plan on having like cliffs and bluffs with lots of mermaids, so there's going to be like a whole bunch of towny mermaid tribe living out there. I've already ensured that the sea is incredibly deep because a lot of times I've built dive lots and custom worlds and the sea is like so shallow that the camera can't barely even go underneath the water, and that sucks. So I've already gone through an extensive measures to make sure that this island has really, really deep oceans around it. Um, so yes. Oh, I guess other statistics. This is definitely built on a large world. It's not small by any means. Mostly because I figured if I wanted to contain the actual land mass of the island itself, then I had the option of just making it ocean around. I mean, technically, yes, it is a bigger file and everything, but I didn't want to feel limited by how far I could go in case I didn't have enough room. Because I feel like it's always easier to downsize rather than upsize, especially with something in The Sims. So, so this is a large world. Whether I'm going to be using all that space or not is yet to be seen. So far, I'm doing rather well with containing the island. Although, I mean, it is pretty dang tall when you think about it. Otherwise, let's see. What are some of the other things that I'm forgetting to say? Like I said, there's a couple different terrain paints. Oh, the name of the island. I should probably talk about that. So, referencing back to the general theme that this is going to be kind of a Pacific Islander themed island, with no specific one in mind, I plan on kind of mishmashing together certain cultures, which I know isn't completely politically correct, but for the sake of like a fantasy island, I think it's okay. I mean, bear with me. So yes, I'm going to merge together certain like themes like Maori people, Hawaiian people, Polynesian people in general. Like the people from the movie Moana from Disney, they have a specific kind of name or something that they're named after. I don't know. So I'm just going to kind of merge that kind of aesthetic and peoples together to create things and also to create the names of things. So I cannot take credit for knowing certain languages or being an expert in other languages or anything. I'm relying on Google Translate for all intents and purposes. So bear with me there. So I plan on just using a couple different of those Polynesian languages to merge together to create certain names for things, just to maybe make it sound a little bit like more realistic or something, or more believable, I guess, instead of realistic. So the name of this island is actually a merging of a phrase that I Google translated from the Maori language, which is a language most common in the Polynesian islands. And that is the phrase Motuatua. So Motu apparently is the equivalent of island, and then Ote is like of the, and Atua is gods, or god. So I'm shortening that to Motuatua. That's going to be the official name of this island. It's Motuatua, and it eventually kind of sort of translates to Island of the Gods. Because there is a reason for it. It is because the tribal people who live here, obviously they have their own kind of, polytheistic religion or their own belief system. And what they follow on this island, they worship two major gods. There's the goddess who lives in the ocean and the god who lives in the volcano. And both the god and the goddess are either can be very appeased and give them good plenty and bounty and bless them, or they can be very angry and rain down, terrible tears amongst the people. So if the volcano erupts, or if there's tsunamis, or hardcore rainstorms or something, the village islanders here blame, worship, fear, and love the two main gods. So because of that, they believe that this island that they're living on was created by the gods and the volcano and the ocean god. And that's who they worship. So that's where it gets its name. It's Motuatua, Island of the Gods. So as far as actually like naming the two gods that they worship, finding out everything else, like intricacies about stuff, that's not planned at all yet. Like I said, there is going to be a mer tribe living out into the water. And the last kind of section I'm going to make sure is I'm going to make kind of an off section off to the side of the island, not anywhere near done yet. That's going to be for the Castaway area. So there is going to be a large beach with like a residential lot on there, ready for castaways to wash up upon. And that is pretty much the extent of the island's contents and inhabitants. Yeah, other than that, that is the most of the, what's it called, of the plain information, I guess, you would need to know about this world. Otherwise, you've just sat here for the last like 15 minutes watching me just paint and sculpt, which is cool because painting takes forever. I was not aware it would take so long to get it nice and pretty, but it really does. The end result of my painting I actually think is really pretty though. So I'm kind of happy to put the work in because when I zoom out on my island, I'm really proud of how it's going at the moment. So I think that when this thing is done, it's going to be gorgeous. So like I said, it should be relatively playable just because of the lack of rabbit holes and expansion pack needs. But otherwise, yeah, so I'm super duper excited about this, guys. Like I said, I've never made a world. I've always wanted to. I had a couple other ideas for a couple really big worlds that I want to create. So if this one goes really well, then eventually I might do those as well. But you know, you need to have your trial and error run. So Motuatua is my trial and error island to see what I can do, how I can do, what I can learn from this process, and then proceed. Maybe to the other worlds. Yes. So if you have any suggestions, any comments, whatever, or questions, let me know. That's the end of part 1, and I will see you soon for part 2. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Mandy Mod. Bye.